This review will be about Red Winter by Annette Marie. Now, Red Winter is one of the best fantasy books I've read about mythology in a while. The Japanese Shinto religion is still kicking, so it might be a bit inaccurate to call it a mythology book. It's loosely based on an actual religion that is still practiced, a very ancient religion. Emi is a kamigakari. Now, you might be wondering, what on earth is that? Basically, the gods of the heavens all require a sort of avatar, a kamigakari, in order to walk the earth. Emi's goddess is Amaterasu, the goddess of the wind. Now, this is a bit confusing because in Shinto, Amaterasu is the goddess of the sun. So there are some inaccuracies. I think what I would call it is artistic license. She has to give up much of her life in order to remain pure, because if she's not pure, then when the goddess descends, she could be destroyed. And that would leave Amaterasu without a host, without a kamigakari. And that's bad for everybody involved, except for, the rival gods, probably. This means no sex. No sex on her birthday, no sex when she's 18, no sex ever, 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 because she has to remain pure. Doesn't that strike you as really, really, really sad? So, in the novel, we discover something shocking about her true duties as a kamigakari, and that changes her course of action. She meets a kitsune named Shiro, which she doesn't actually believe is his real name because Shiro literally means white, and he's a white kitsune. A kitsune, in case you do not know, is a fox spirit, a yokai, and yokais are basically spirits of the earth. And they range from malevolent to, she's trained to believe that they're all mostly malevolent, but they can be quite neutral or even benevolent in the mythologies that do exist. But kitsune are mostly known as tricksters, so she can't trust him necessarily because of what she's been led to believe about them, which makes their relationship and their dynamic a bit confusing and a bit weird. But of course, romance ensues. It's not insta-love, it's far from insta-love, and I'm really glad about that because I'm so sick of it. Their romance, I don't know if I could call that even a spoiler because it's pretty obvious that of course she's going to fall in love with a kitsune. So Shiro is a fox spirit who has lost his memories, and he's cursed essentially, and so they need to go break the curse. I don't want to get too much into the curse about what it does and how it affects him because that's a bit spoilery, but essentially they meet a Tengu, the Tengu, and his name, I should remember his name because he is my favourite character. Yume. His name is Yume. I knew that. Yume is my favourite character. He's terrifying, vengeful, and wrathful. And I don't know what that says about me, but I love him. And he reminds me a little bit of my own characters, Stefan and Pietro, who kind of veer towards the cruel end of the spectrum. But unlike, say, Stefan, he isn't cruel for the sake of cruelty. He's definitely got the whole blue and orange morality thing going for him, which, again, if you check my blog, it'll click you over to TV tropes, which explains that blue and orange morality is filled with a lot of grey areas, and there's nothing really absolute about it. So the characters tend to sort of tread between good and evil quite loosely. And with Yume, it's really hard to tell what his connection towards Shiro is and why he even cares. And for me personally, because I just love all the gay, I couldn't help but wonder if there was a relationship between Shiro and Yume, and I started shipping them only to be very disappointed when Emi and Shiro started happening, so my little fangirl dreams have died. Another character that appears is Katsuo. Now, Katsuo is Emi's childhood friend, her protector, and she knows him from a particularly difficult time in her life. I won't go into that too much because I think it's something I don't want to spoil. But basically, my poor baby got stuck in a love triangle with our resident kitsune. Personally, I would have chosen Katsuo because he's kind, loyal, and adorable. Plus, he has no violence tendencies towards the main character. When you first meet Shiro, he's very protective of Emi due to circumstances out of their control. But when she saves him and he wakes up, he becomes this almost other-like creature and starts being really weird and attacks her and threatens her, no doubt. And I don't like this. I'm very, very sick of bad boy type characters who threaten the MC and expect to be loved for it. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Either be her loyal companion, her friend, or don't. I don't like the grey area between the two. I wouldn't go as far as to say that he's abusive, but he was definitely playing around with her a bit. My final thoughts on Red Winter. It was a very good read, and although there were some pacing problems, particularly at the beginning, I did enjoy myself. Emi was the naive kind of girl who, at the beginning, was very trusting of Kami. Now, Kami are... There are the Kami, and there are the Kinitsukami. So the Kami are the gods of the heavens, and the Kinitsukami are the gods of the earth. And she learns later on, spoiler, that not all Kami are good. And she learns this lesson pretty quickly, and eventually she sets on another quest given to her by Amaterasu, which leads us to the second book, Dark Tempest. And that's a whole other review. What I do have to say is it's a very well-written book, and I love almost everything about it, minus shipping Shiro and Emi at the beginning. I don't like them at the beginning, and I think it has to grow on me